12 foods are quietly disappearing from stores, and most people only notice when prices have already gone up or the shelves have started to look thinner. What matters is that these are not luxury items. They are familiar things that millions of families use every week. While most people are still shopping as usual, those preparing for emergencies are taking them quickly, little by little, without drawing attention. They understand that real shortages do not begin with empty shelves. They begin with higher prices, fewer choices, and only then comes panic. Today, we will go through 12 items disappearing in exactly that way. And stay until number 7, because when its price changes, the whole kitchen feels it almost immediately. 12. Coffee. When real hardship happens, many people think they will miss meat, bread, or sweets first. But after only a few days, what many people begin to miss most is coffee. Not because it is a luxury, but because it is tied to the feeling of normal life. A morning cup of coffee helps people feel that the new day is still running the way it always did. Its origin begins with the famous story from Ethiopia. According to legend, a goat herder named Kaldi noticed his goats became unusually energetic after eating strange red berries. He brought them to local monks. They tried roasting them, brewing them, and discovered a drink that helped them stay awake through long nights. From there, coffee spread across the world. Hundreds of years have passed, but the need to stay mentally alert during unstable times has not changed. But today, that familiar item is under more pressure than many people realize. Much of the world's coffee depends on a few countries such as Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia. If just one country has a poor harvest, prices can already shake. But in recent years, several places have faced problems at the same time. Brazil has dealt with drought and frost. Vietnam has faced prolonged heat and higher fertilizer costs. Colombia has dealt with heavy rain, labor shortages, and shipping delays. When several major links in the chain break at once, supermarket prices react very quickly. Over the past 18 months, wholesale coffee prices have at times risen more than 70%. A 12-ounce bag that was once around $8 is now $11 in many places. Some premium varieties have reached $14 to $15, and that is not all. Many brands have reduced bag weight while keeping the same price. Buyers think nothing changed, but in reality, they are paying more for less product. That is when people preparing for emergencies begin buying extra. Not by clearing shelves. They understand that real shortages usually begin with 3 small signs: prices rising gradually, fewer choices, and a few familiar brands temporarily disappearing. So they buy early, a little at a time. But coffee's greatest value is psychological. During power outages, major storms, or financial pressure, the familiar smell of coffee can help people stay calmer and think more clearly. If you want to prepare wisely, choose whole bean coffee and store it sealed in a dry place. Because when most people begin complaining that coffee is too expensive, those who prepared well have usually already bought theirs. 11. Honey is one of the most overlooked items on the shelf, until its price rises enough for people to notice. In just the past few years, in many parts of the United States, a large bottle of honey that once sold for around $8 has climbed to $12 to $15. Pure or premium varieties are even higher. This is not random movement, but a sign of pressure building inside the supply chain. The first reason is the bee population. Honeybees do not only produce honey, they also help pollinate many important crops. But for years, beekeepers have continuously faced parasites, disease, pesticides, unstable weather, and habitat loss. When bee numbers fall, natural honey production falls with them. The second reason is rising costs across the entire system. Beekeepers now pay more for supplemental feed, transporting hives, labor, jars, packaging, and fuel. Higher diesel prices mean higher costs to move honey from farms to processing plants, and then to supermarkets. Each step rises a little, but in the end, the buyer pays the biggest bill. The third reason is tighter pressure on imported supply. For many years, the U.S. market received large amounts of honey from overseas, but concerns about dilution with cheap syrup, origin fraud, and uneven quality have led to stricter inspections. When lower-cost supply is reduced, stores still have honey, but with fewer choices and higher prices. That is why people preparing for emergencies buy this item steadily, not out of panic, but because they understand its real value. Honey is a fast source of energy, needs no cooking, requires no electricity, and is easy to use. One spoonful of honey can make a bowl of oats easier to eat, a warm cup of tea more comforting, and help people feel calmer during a stressful day. If you want to store it, simply keep it in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Honey may crystallize over time, but that does not mean it is spoiled. Gentle warming returns it to normal use. Archaeologists once found honey in ancient tombs in Egypt after thousands of years that was still usable. Long before refrigeration, people already understood the value of this food. And while many people still walk past the honey shelf today, others have already bought theirs in advance. 10. Canned tomatoes. What happens if one day you still have plenty of rice, pasta, and beans in the kitchen, but every meal suddenly becomes so bland that the whole family starts losing interest in eating? Many people only think about food quantity when preparing for hard times, but experienced people understand that the bigger issue is the ability to turn simple ingredients into meals with real flavor. That is why canned tomatoes are disappearing faster than many people realize. Many people see them as just a cheap can of tomatoes sitting quietly at the end of the aisle. But in the food world, they are like the invisible foundation of hundreds of meals. Chili needs them. Pasta sauce needs them. Soup needs them. Stew needs them. Pizza sauce needs them. Even white rice or cooked beans feel completely different with a little tomato added. It is an underestimated item, yet it stands behind countless familiar American meals. The problem is that supply is concentrated in a surprising way. Much of the processed tomato supply in the United States comes from California. When that state faces drought, irrigation shortages, seasonal labor shortages, or higher fuel costs, the effect moves directly to supermarkets across the country. It only takes one weaker than normal season for processing plants to reduce output, and lower-cost cans are often the first group affected. Then comes the packaging problem. Steel cans, metal lids, truck transportation, and storage all cost more than before. A can that once sold for around 99 cents in many places has now risen to $1.49, sometimes more for familiar brands. It may sound like only a small increase, but for families buying them several times a month, that total adds up faster than people think. People preparing for emergencies are buying them quickly, not out of panic. They understand something most people overlook. When budgets get tighter, good meals become more important than expensive meals. One can of tomatoes can turn rice and beans into chili, turn dry pasta into a pasta dinner, turn a small amount of ground meat into a pot of sauce for the whole family. It extends the value of many other pantry items. Unlike many foods that serve only one purpose, canned tomatoes multiply the value of an entire food reserve. They are not the main star, but they make everything else work better. That is a difference people who have lived through lean times remember clearly. If you want to buy smart, choose a mix of diced, crushed, and sauce for more cooking flexibility. Keep them in a dry place and rotate them into everyday use. There is no need to clear shelves. Just stay one step ahead, because by the time many people realize they still have food, but no longer have meals that taste good, these simple cans are often already gone from the shelves. 9. Oats. Whenever the economy starts getting harder, people rarely stop buying food. They quietly shift to items that are cheaper, more filling, and better at stretching the budget. That is when oats stop being just a normal breakfast food. They become the choice that millions of families return to at the same time. Many people look at a box of oats on the shelf and think it is too common to ever be scarce. But markets do not run on feelings. They run on supply, demand, and spending habits. When rent rises, electric bills go higher, fresh food gets more expensive, and budgets tighten, consumers usually cut costly items first. Then they return to foods that are simple but effective. Oats are almost always near the top of that list. It only takes millions of people changing their decisions over a few months for shelves to react quickly. Oat supply is also not as broad as many people assume. A large share depends on Canada and the northern states of the United States. These areas are sensitive to drought, untimely rain, early frost, and transportation disruptions. It only takes 1 weak harvest for the market to tighten slowly. Fewer choices, smaller boxes, and eventually higher prices. And that has already happened. Many large containers of oats that once sold for around $4 have risen to $6 to $7 in many places. Some brands kept the same price but reduced the weight. Buyers think everything stayed the same, but in reality, they are paying more for less product. There is another pressure many people miss. Oats are no longer only for breakfast. They now go into oat milk, granola, energy bars, baked goods, and many convenient packaged foods. That means more and more industries are competing for the same ingredient. This directly affects families. When money is tight, oats are one of the few foods that are affordable, filling, heart-friendly, and suitable for older adults. If that item rises sharply in price or temporarily disappears, replacement options are often much more expensive. People preparing for emergencies understand that, so they do not wait for the crowd to react. They buy steadily while prices are still normal, a little at a time, rotating it into everyday use. Because by the time most people come back to oats to save money, the shelf is often no longer waiting for them. 8. Powdered milk. Last winter, a family in suburban United States woke up after a long overnight power outage. The refrigerator had warmed up, fresh milk was starting to smell off, and the nearby store had lines filling the parking lot. But in the corner of their kitchen cabinet, they still had a few bags of powdered milk. That morning, the children still had cereal with milk, the adults still had coffee, and the house was far less chaotic than many others. That is when many people begin to understand the real value of this item that seems old-fashioned. Did you know that one of the fastest items to disappear whenever the system starts shaking is not meat, not bread, but milk? And when fresh milk disappears first, the item that often rises in price and becomes harder to find right after it is powdered milk. Many people think powdered milk is only for children or for temporary use. That is an outdated view. In reality, it is one of the most strategic items in the modern kitchen. It contains protein, calcium, and energy, and can be used for cooking, drinking, baking, and replacing fresh milk when supply chains break down. The problem is that powdered milk production is not as simple as many people think. To make milk powder, factories must remove water, dry the product, and package it in tightly controlled environments. This process uses large amounts of electricity, natural gas, equipment, and labor. When energy prices rise, production costs rise immediately. When labor is short, output falls. When packaging costs increase, Retail prices follow. There is another major pressure many people miss. Global demand for powdered milk is rising strongly across Asia and Africa, where many countries import large volumes. When the world market pulls supply, domestic availability in the US can slowly tighten before ordinary shoppers notice, until shelves begin to look thinner. Prices have already responded clearly. Many bags of powdered milk that were once reasonably priced are now up 25 to 40% compared with a few years ago. Some brands reduced package weight while keeping the same shelf price. Buyers think everything is normal, but in reality, they are paying more for less product. People preparing for emergencies understand this, so they do not wait for shortages before buying. They add a little at a time while prices are still stable. Store it in a dry, airtight place and rotate it into everyday use. No showmanship, no panic, just one step ahead. Because by the time many people walk into the store and realize fresh milk has jumped in price and familiar options are gone, they suddenly remember there was a substitute sitting on the shelf all along, and now there is not much left. 7. White rice. A man walked into the supermarket planning to buy only a few things for the new week. He passed the meat aisle and saw higher prices. He passed the egg section and saw quantity limits. But when he stopped in front of a 20-pound bag of rice, he stood there much longer. 6 months earlier, the price had been clearly lower. Today, the new price tag was sitting there. He picked up 2 bags instead of 1. That was not an emotional reaction. It was the reaction of someone beginning to realize that a basic foundation was changing. The biggest issue with rice is not the supermarket shelf. It is the global system behind that shelf. The first main reason is India, the world's largest rice exporter, which has restricted exports of several rice categories to protect domestic supply and control food inflation. When the largest exporting country pulls supply out of the market, millions of tons of rice no longer move normally. This is not a small detail. It is a supply squeeze that affects the entire world. Next comes extreme weather. Rice depends heavily on water, temperature, and stable growing seasons. When El Niño, drought, or flooding hits major growing regions such as Thailand, Vietnam, or Pakistan, yields decline almost immediately. 1 week harvest in several places at the same time is enough to push prices higher across the market. Then production costs rise sharply. Rice farmers are under pressure from fertilizer, diesel, electricity for irrigation pumps, labor, and transportation. Fertilizer prices surged after global energy disruptions. Higher fuel costs make everything from tractors to trucks more expensive. When input costs climb, cheap rice becomes harder to maintain. Even in the United States, the situation is not immune. California faces prolonged water shortages. Arkansas, the largest rice-producing state in America, faces heavy fuel and freight pressure. That eventually goes straight into the shopper's bill. A 20-pound bag of rice that once sold for around $15 in many places has now risen to $22 or more. Some jasmine and basmati varieties have increased even more. This is not a one-time shock. It is the kind of slow but persistent price increase that quietly wears down family budgets. People preparing for emergencies understand this very well. They do not buy rice out of fear. They buy it because of math. A small amount of money buys many meals, stores well, and always gets used. And that is why when markets begin to shake, people who understand the system do not run first to snacks or luxury items. They go straight to where the rice bags are stacked. Because by the time the crowd understands the real reason behind the new price tag, that shelf is often already lighter. 6. Peanut butter. Many people walk past the peanut butter aisle and assume this item will always be fully stocked. It feels too familiar to imagine that one day it could become expensive or hard to find. But the most ordinary products are often the first to send signals when the system starts facing pressure. Much of America's peanut production is concentrated in southern states such as Georgia, Alabama, Florida, and Texas. This region is increasingly exposed to unstable weather. It only takes prolonged drought or heavy rain during harvest season for output to drop sharply after a single crop cycle. But the issue is not only quantity, it is also quality. When peanuts stay exposed to moisture for too long, the risk of mold and aflatoxin contamination rises significantly. Shipments that fail standards can be removed from the food chain. That means part of the harvested crop may never reach stores. Shoppers rarely see that. They only see higher prices on the shelf. The next pressure is competing demand. Peanuts are not used only for peanut butter. They also go into snacks, candy, cooking oil, and processed foods. When multiple industries compete for the same raw supply, retail prices often feel the pressure first. The result is already clear. Many large jars that once sold for around $6 to $7 now cost $9 to $11 in many places. Some brands keep the same price, but reduce the weight. Buyers think nothing changed, but in reality, they are paying more for less product. What makes this item special is efficiency. 2 tablespoons contain around 200 calories, along with protein and fat. No cooking, no electricity, no complicated preparation. Spread it on bread, eat it with oats, blend it into smoothies, or eat it directly. When budgets tighten, very few foods are this practical and effective. People preparing for emergencies understand that, so they do not wait for shortages before buying. They watch for sales, rotate it into regular use, and keep a few jars on hand as a small buffer for the family. Because when millions of people return to foods that are cheap, filling, and easy to use, peanut butter usually leaves the shelf faster than many expect. 5. Cooking oil. Many families may stock up well on rice, pasta, beans, and canned goods, yet forget one very small item in the kitchen: cooking oil. Only when the last bottle is nearly empty do they realize many familiar meals are no longer as easy to make. Vegetables sauté grillé. Eggs stick to the pan more easily. Meat is harder to cook well. Even instant noodles lose much of their flavor. Cooking oil is usually noticed only when it is almost gone. But when hard times arrive, it becomes something everyone needs. The biggest issue with cooking oil is that supply depends on many places at once. A bottle in the supermarket may come from soybeans, canola, sunflower, corn, or palm oil. It only takes one link in the chain to face trouble for prices to be affected. But when several regions face problems at the same time, shoppers feel it immediately at the shelf. For example, the war involving Ukraine strongly disrupted global sunflower oil supply. Some drought seasons in South America affected soybeans. Higher fuel prices raised shipping costs. Bottling plants faced pressure from packaging, labor, and electricity costs. All of it ends up inside the same bottle you hold in your hand. The result is that many bottles of cooking oil once priced around $3 to $4 have risen to $5 to $7 in many places. Larger sizes increased even more. At certain times, shoppers even saw quantity limits per customer. That is rare for an item once considered too common to worry about. What makes cooking oil important is not only cooking, it is also a dense source of energy. 1 tablespoon contains more calories than many people realize. When budgets tighten, adding a little oil can help meals feel more filling for longer. It also helps the body absorb certain vitamins from vegetables more effectively. That means lacking cooking oil is not only inconvenient, it can make an entire meal less effective. People preparing for emergencies understand this, so they do not wait for empty shelves before buying. They simply add an extra bottle when prices are good, and rotate it through normal use. No extreme hoarding, just keeping a small reserve at home. If you want to buy smart, watch expiration dates, choose a size that fits your household, and store it in a cool place away from sunlight. Do not buy too much and let it spoil. The goal is not to fill the garage, but to avoid being caught off guard when prices rise or shelves thin out. Because while many people start worrying about rice or meat, those who understand the kitchen often look at the remaining bottle of oil first. 4. Pasta. If the economy keeps getting harder over the next few months, one of the shelves that could thin out the fastest may be dry pasta. It sounds unusual, but that is what often happens when families begin tightening spending. When money gets tight, people do not look for more expensive meals. They look for more efficient ones. Pasta sits directly at the center of that choice. For only a few dollars, one box can become a meal for the whole family. Add a little tomato sauce, some ground meat, vegetables, or simply butter and garlic, and it becomes a respectable dinner. In times when people must carefully calculate rent, gas, and electric bills, very few foods are this affordable, filling, and easy for multiple generations to enjoy. That is why pasta often disappears, not because it is rare, but because too many people return to it at the same time. But behind that simple food is a system more fragile than many realize. Everyday pasta depends heavily on durum wheat. In recent years, major growing regions in Canada and elsewhere have faced drought, heat, and lower yields. When raw material costs rise, factories cannot hold old prices for long. Then come paper packaging, electricity for production lines, transportation fuel, and labor costs. Consumers do not see those expenses. They only see a box of pasta that once cost $1 now priced at $1.79, or a familiar brand that once cost $1.49 now above $2.5. Each box may not sound like much, but buying it regularly all year becomes a meaningful increase. There is another value people rarely mention: psychological stability. There are days when people do not need a perfect meal. They need something dependable. A pot of hot pasta cooks quickly, carries little risk. Children will usually eat it, and older adults know the taste. In a time when many things feel uncertain, that sense of certainty has real value. People preparing for emergencies understand this, so they do not wait for empty shelves before buying. They take advantage of sales, add a few extra boxes, and rotate them into normal daily use. Because when millions of families all need a dinner that is cheap, fast, and reliable, the pasta aisle often empties very quietly. 3. Dry beans. Some foods are never placed in the best spot in the supermarket. No major advertising, no bright spotlight. But whenever life starts getting harder, those forgotten items often become the lifeline for millions of families. Dry beans are a clear example. They do not create excitement when placed in a shopping cart. No one brags about buying another bag of beans. But when meat gets more expensive, egg prices become unstable, and grocery money must be counted carefully. Dry beans begin to be seen differently. Not as a side item, but as a serious substitute. The greatest strength of beans is not just low price. It is their ability to help keep a family stable over a long period. One small bag can cook into many meals, combined with rice, pasta, vegetables, soup, or used as filling. That means the same amount of money creates more meal options than most other foods. That is why demand often rises quickly whenever the economy gets harder. But bean supply is not as completely safe as many assume. Major growing areas such as North Dakota, Michigan, and Nebraska still face familiar risks: drought, untimely rain, higher fertilizer costs, and rising fuel prices. Beans are an agricultural crop, which means they still depend on weather and costs like any other crop. After harvest comes another layer of costs shoppers do not see: drying, sorting, bagging, transportation, and storage. It only takes a few parts of the chain rising at once for yesterday's cheap bag of beans to become today's new price. Many 1-pound bags of beans that once sold for around $1 now cost $2 or more in many places. The number sounds small, but what matters is that even an item once seen as the most budget-friendly choice is no longer standing still. What makes dry beans different is that they reduce psychological pressure. When people open the kitchen cabinet and know there is still food that can become many meals, they feel calmer. That feeling has real value during unstable times. If you want to avoid repeating the crowd's mistake, do not wait for shortages before learning how to use beans. Buy a little first, try a few simple recipes, find the type your family likes, and rotate them into normal use. Good preparation is not buying the most. It is becoming familiar with using it before you need it. Because when millions of people all begin searching for protein that is affordable, durable, and filling, dry beans will no longer be the forgotten item. 2. Canned tuna. Many people think canned tuna is always available because it is small, common, and has sat quietly on shelves for years. But in reality, it is one of the products most easily affected when the global system starts shaking. And the strongest main reason is not the can itself. It is fuel. Tuna is not raised close to shore the way many people assume. Much of it must be caught far out in the ocean by fleets that stay away for weeks or even months. Boats run on diesel. Refrigeration systems run on fuel. When oil prices rise, the entire tuna supply chain is immediately squeezed. It only takes a major fuel increase for each trip to sea to cost tens of thousands of dollars more. Some vessels reduce trips. Some stay docked, waiting for better prices. Port landings decline before consumers even realize it. Then comes the second wave of higher costs. The fish must go to factories for cutting, cooking, canning, labeling, container shipping, and then delivery to supermarkets. Higher steel prices make cans more expensive. Labor shortages slow factories down. Higher ocean freight rates push prices up again. Many cans of tuna that once sold for around 99 cents to $1.25 now cost $1.79 to $2.79. Some brands keep the same price but reduce the weight. What makes this item special is that it solves a real problem exactly when people are tired, busy, without power, or unwilling to cook. Just open the lid and there is real protein ready to eat. If you want to buy smart, watch for sales and rotate it through regular use. Because by the time many people realize they do not lack food, they only lack something ready to eat. The tuna shelf is often already thinner than they expected, and has been for a while. 1. Butter. The final item on this list is not the most expensive or the rarest, but when its price rises or it disappears, the entire kitchen feels it immediately. That item is butter. Butter is not just a food. It is what makes bread taste better, eggs smell richer, mashed potatoes smoother, and a simple meal more enjoyable. Many people only realize the value of butter when they open the refrigerator and see that the last stick is almost gone. Many people think a butter shortage simply means a milk shortage. In reality, it is not that simple. Raw milk collected from farms must also be divided among many other products, such as cheese, cream, yogurt, drinking milk, and butter. When costs rise or profit margins shift, processors often prioritize products with higher returns. Butter can sometimes be pushed lower on the list. In short, having milk does not always mean having enough butter. On top of that, butter requires a cold chain from factory to supermarket. When electricity, fuel, and labor costs rise, storage and transportation costs rise with them. Shoppers do not see the refrigerated warehouses or cold trucks behind the scenes. They only see the new price tag on the shelf. Many packs of butter that once sold for around $3 to $4 now cost $5 to $7, and even more in some places. During the year-end holiday season, prices can rise even faster as baking and cooking demand increases. Sometimes shoppers walk into the store, and only the most expensive option is left. What makes butter special is its ability to upgrade an entire meal. A little butter can turn a simple dish into something the whole family wants to eat. In times of financial pressure, that matters far more than many people realize. No one can control every change in the world, but everyone can control how they prepare for tomorrow. Every item you buy today is not just food, but peace of mind for your family and the feeling of stability when others are worried. You do not need to do anything dramatic. Just start with small, steady, and wise steps. 1 bag of rice, a few cans of fish, 1 jar of peanut butter. Over time, they become real strength. Preparation is not about fearing the future, but about caring for the people living with you today. When hardship comes, the strongest person is not the richest one, but the person who thought ahead and acted early. If you are still here, it means you are moving in the right direction. Keep building peace of mind for your family starting now.